One of the most important things you can do to keep from getting COVID-19 and to flatten the curve, so to say, is to avoid touching your face. We all know that social distancing is really important because you can become infected by talking to someone or having someone cough on you by being near them. But the virus can survive on hard objects for up to 72 hours. And that's well outside the bounds of you knowing whether or not someone had been there. So if you touch a hard surface and the virus gets on your hand, the primary way that you're going to become infected is by touching your face. That's why it's so important not to. The difficulty is that we don't even know when we touch our faces. It's not a decision that we're not like, it's a good time to touch my face. I'm going to touch my face now. We do it automatically, unconsciously, which makes it very difficult to not do it. What I did is I created an app, a smartphone app, that basically makes you more aware of when you're touching your face and potentially just outright prevents you from touching your face because it alerts you when you're doing it. I'll just give you a quick demo, just jump right into it. So in order to make this work, you have to wear your phone around your neck. Basically, what the app does is it uses your phone's compass as a magnetic field sensor, which is all the compass is. The compass inside your phone has actually 3 different magnetic sensors that operate on each of 3 axes. So it's actually more powerful than a typical 2-dimensional compass, which is only 2 axes. And because it's 3 axes, we can try to triangulate the position of a magnetic field in 3D space, which is what we're doing. So in terms of how this works with face touching, what I have right here is a magnet right there. Basically a little neodymium magnet, a strong magnet that I've just taken some packing tape and taped to a hair scrunchie I stole from my wife. And then I put it on my hand like this. And this naturally creates a magnetic field. It's a magnet. And this being a magnet, the compass, the magnet sensor, the magnetometer is what it's called in the phone, can sense the presence of the magnet if it's close enough. You're probably starting to see where we're going with this. So with the magnet on our hand, right, when I reach up to touch my face like this, and I wash my hands, don't worry, touch my face like this with the glasses or my mouth or whatever, right, this magnet is getting closer to the phone. In fact, it's kind of traversing in a very specific manner through 3D space above the phone. And the sensor in the phone can track it, track when my hand is touching my face because there's the magnet on my wrist. You can track the magnet's on my wrist. And my wrist is attached to my hand, which is touching my face. Let's see. So in terms of how the app actually functions, you can see I have it on the screen right here. And it's a little bit tricky because you have to kind of you have to operate the phone while it's around your neck. I use a mirror. It makes it a lot easier. You can also use a webcam if you want to. I like the mirror. I'm using a mirror right now. So one thing that I did just to make it a little bit easier is I create a setting that will reverse. Sorry, there we go. Reverse the user interface so that you can see it in a mirror and it's not all backwards. Okay, so this is the settings page. So the settings page allows you to do a couple different things. It allows you to select the alert type. So we have vibration and audio. So vibration is selected by default. We're going to add audio just for fun. There's a sensitivity. So that's basically, if it's going off a little bit too often or when it shouldn't be, you can dial down the sensitivity. If it's not, giving you the feedback that you want, but it looks like, you can see on the graph that it is actually detecting the presence of a magnetic field. You can increase the sensitivity, and that way you'll be getting those alerts when you're touching your face. There's a couple other settings here that are really just basically for demonstrations and for educational purposes. For the data settings, we have delta and absolute. And that's basically just using discrete data from the sensor, just kind of like the actual magnetic field values, microteslas, versus change over time. So we're going to switch over to absolute, it's discrete values as opposed to change over time. You can also use the accelerometer in your phone instead of the compass. So if you don't have any magnets whatsoever and you see this app and you're really excited, you're like, I really want to try this app, but I don't have any magnets whatsoever, what do I do? You can use the accelerometer in your phone instead. However, you won't be able to wear the phone around your neck with the magnet on your hand. Potentially you could have the phone attached to your arm or something, and it would actually be able to function in the same way. It sounds a little bit awkward. This isn't awkward, but even more awkward. But at least you'll be able to work through the interface and train the model and stuff like that. Okay, so we've selected our alerts. We have reversed the user interface. I'll get to the test later. We're going to stick with the magnetometer. Let's go back to the, okay, here is the training interface. So you'll see 3 lines right here. Those 3 lines are representations of actual data, the compass sensor in your phone. Those 3 lines correspond to the 3 axes. There's actually 3 separate sensors combined into one, measuring the magnetic fields. So for instance, if you have my wrist up here, see those little lines wiggle. See, that's all those little sensors in my phone detecting the magnet, which is exactly what we wanted to do. Okay, so this app uses machine learning. Specifically, it uses a neural network, a kind of, some people call it artificial intelligence, if you will. This uses a recurrent neural network, so the good kind, just kidding. But don't worry about that. The code is all open source, so you can dig into it if you're interested. It's very accessible, very easy to use. This whole app is built on the most accessible technology I could find. It's Cordova. It's all JavaScript. It's pretty ancient stuff. It's a huge community, very well supported. Anyone who can program can mess around with the code that's underneath this app. So might as well get to it. So let's see. What we need to do is basically gather training data to create a model that will detect when I'm touching my face. So in order to do that, we need to basically build a representation of not touching my face, and then we build a representation of touching my face. In order to do that, I need to basically gather data that will build up that representation, build the model. So what I'm going to do is stick with off target, which is the easy one. So I'm just going to hit off target. Okay, now it's just gathering data. It's just taking samples from the sensor and storing them to eventually shoot them into the neural network model. And it will automatically stop at 100, which is the easiest way to use this thing. It doesn't take very much data at all. It's not very much data for machine learning. And okay, on target. So here we're going to want to get a little bit more coverage. So I have to have my hand up by my face when I start, when I press the button. Okay, so now I'm basically trying to get all the different ways in which I might touch my face. Maybe grab the glasses, maybe wipe my brow, wipe my nose, my mouth, my chin, all that good stuff. Just touching my face all over the place. Okay, so now we have our model. And you'll notice this green line right here, we lost the 3 magnetometer lines and we replaced it with the green line. The green line is the output from the neural network model. So basically, as you can see, the detection here in a percentage, there's basically a single output from this model. It's either a 0 or a 1 or something in between. A 0 is not touching your face, 1 is touching your face, and in between is the probability that you're either at 0 or 1, that you're either not touching your face or you are touching your face. So right now, the probability that I'm touching my face is very low. because I'm not touching my face. So I'm going to reach up. Okay, boom. There we go, you see? It's keeping track of when I touch my face. It vibrated. I didn't notice that. Maybe notice the little beeping sound. So it gave me the audio alert as well. So as much as we want. Voila. I'm touching my face a lot. Okay, well, that's the gist of it. This is how it works. This is a work in progress. I work at the CMI Matter Lab, research engineer, and we were brainstorming about things that we could do for COVID-19, for the pandemic. And I suggested this project, and so we've been working on it a bit since then. So this is completely new. Just came up with it, so it's a little bit rougher on the edges. If it gets a lot of positive feedback, there's some interest to maybe put some more work into it, polish it up a little bit. But I'm pretty pleased with how it works out so far. One other thing, if you're wondering, well, wow, this app is great, but I have a phone. What about this magnet business? What kind of magnet do I need? Do I have the right kinds of magnet? What is the right kinds of magnet? You need a strong magnet. Some refrigerator magnets are rare earth strong magnets. If you have a refrigerator magnet that is strong enough, usually it's going to be a big refrigerator magnet, and you're looking back, and the actual magnet part is this itsy bitsy little capsule, because all it takes is that little itsy bitsy capsule to hold the whole thing up. You don't need to guess about it, because I actually built a little testing tool into the app. So if we go back to the settings page, then we're going to see the test magnet button. And so basically I've calibrated this to basically mimic the range of the machine learning model. So if I gather, if all the face touching data that I gather is from when I'm touching the top of my head, way away from the phone, the magnet's not powerful enough. This magnet right here, a typical rare earth magnet, is probably only going to get you maybe 6 or 7 inches of range, maybe 8 or 9 at the most, to do it consistently. So basically, beyond that 6, 7, 8 inches, it's not going to work anymore. So if I press this button right here, okay, here, it's displaying the change in, okay, there we go. And boom. See, it's working great. This is what you want to see. Okay, so so I looked around my house to see if I could find some magnets that might work. And I looked everywhere. And I found some good magnets, some that I hadn't even remembered about. So this right here is a flashlight, right? And it's got magnets on the bottom of them. These are great magnets. These are beautiful magnets, big, beautiful magnets. So if I test the, there we go, bingo. And wow, see, it's great. So I actually, I pulled one of these little magnets off right here, so this will work too. And there we go. Yeah, it's still encapsulated in steel, so it's be a little more powerful when you get it out of there. Oh, and there's other stuff. Here's a little speaker. Test this guy out. Yeah. That's nice and good. Oh, well. Sometimes one of the reasons why it times out is because it has to recalibrate pretty often. Okay, there we go. Boom. Lots of fun. What else have we got? We have a motor. These are really good. Hard drives have really strong magnets in them. So Yeah. So basically, if you have some spare time, if you're stuck in your house, maybe uh, you can play around with the app. And if you want to just keep your phone around your neck, for an hour or two, um, while you're just doing anything, watching TV or a movie, or just hanging out, maybe not eating dinner because you actually do have to touch your mouth. But any kind of daily activities, you have no idea how often you touch your mouth. I have no idea until I started wearing this thing, and it's just amazing. I readjust my glasses so often when I don't need to. I don't know why I do it. Maybe it's a nervous tick, but we all touch our faces a lot. I think statistically it's something like 27 times an hour, which is way more than I think anyone would imagine they touch their faces. And this basically allows you to record how often it happens. You don't even have to have the alerts going. It actually has a little counter, right? Yeah, so you see the count says 7 there. So you can have it on silent, no vibrations, no audio, and you just look down an hour later and see what the count is. In fact, you could play a game. You could make this a contest, and you could all have your phones on your necks and see who gets the fewest number of face touches. Maybe like a bet or something. I don't know. Whatever sounds fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this and have a great day.